by not doing all these things and being very careful when for them to get in without knowledge from the of a move, it helped. For instance, I'll tell you another one, another major one, which was not ours. This was the first family to move into Levittown. It was a terrific uproar with the state police and everybody around. And so for months after that, none of our buyers would consider Levittown. So then finally we did get a listing there, and I said, well, all right, I'll take you by the house. I'm not going to take you in. So I drove them by. They took my word for it, and they bought it.
Did they?
And they were delighted with it. They'd been there 2 or 3 months when the police went to the house and said, Mr. So-and-so, I hear you're running a model airplane shop in your garage, and it's such a success. I want you to come over to my area.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes.
Yes.
They worked, they had no trouble.
Good. Your own efforts were largely here on the main line, your own selling of houses.
Most of our houses?
Yes, were here on the main line?
Not most of them,
No. Where were they?
When we couldn't get on listings, we still, of course, tried to get listings. Was the government, I forget the name of the law, but anyway, passed a law that a government-owned house must be available to anyone.
VA.
This was the VA houses.
Okay.
So we had to watch the list every day. And the system at that time was the first come, first serve. So if anybody saw us, we still had no protection, but we technically could get that house.
With the law, yes.
Those houses were all over the place.
Yes, yes.
So that was a tremendous boom, too. We probably couldn't have survived without that one. You know, it was 10 years before we even made an effort, or maybe on the board. Well, so I can't just remember where we were. Was there something in sequence?
Well, we've been talking about your work with the suburban housing, and we've been here an hour now.
Yeah.
You've been talking for a straight hour, and we ought to
I guess you better go.
we ought to wind it up. But I don't like to wind it up without finding out what Haverford Meeting has meant in the last 10 or 15 years to you.
What it has meant?
Yes.
Yeah, it's just what I thought it was. I think it's a wonderful place. I mean, yeah.
Well, I'll agree with that. Is there anything more you would like to tell us?
Yes, what other topics would you like to speak with us about? We've talked about this important work in housing.
Yeah.
Were there other parts of your life that you might like to talk a little about?
Well, one of my interests, and I worked on that one, which was totally different, was doing something to help elderly people stay in their old homes. And I started, or at least proposed and got a committee going, and we got it going, was it changed its name slightly to SOS, Senior Outreach Services.
Okay.
Miriam Brown, of course, our meeting, was on the board at one time, and various people. And that sort of took hold. That's after we did disband our meeting, our suburban fair housing.
When did that disband, Margaret?
Well, yeah, and I want to give you something.
Okay, just,
Now, wait a second.
okay,
wait a second.
I'll walk around with you here,
Oh, all right.
because you're hooked up here to the machine.
Let her hold it.
I just want to... This was a book that was published, 20 Years Suburban Fair Housing, which I thought you might like to look at.
We would very much like to.
Yeah,
I see you have multiple copies.
yeah.
Have you left one of these in the meeting house?
Yeah, I would be glad if you would.
Oh, that would be very, very nice.
Good.
Well, one further thing about this was the Haverford meeting offered us the meeting house for our last annual meeting of Suburban Fair Housing. And so we had it at Haverford meeting. So they stood by us all the time.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. Now, you had some other, then I did start this thing called SOS, Senior Outreach Services, which, after this got folded up, I thought I'll have to do something. And I finally decided that if it's not my main interest, and my interest was that someone would be better. So I decided to try to find an executive secretary. And I heard that a certain women's group was having a meeting, and so I asked the chairman if she would give me 5 minutes on the agenda, which she did. So I explained what the purpose of this new organization was, and currently we were looking for an executive secretary. And a nice woman came up and spoke to me and said I would be interested. We took her on for 1 year, and she stayed for 25.
Oh dear, what a good choice that
Good
turned out
choice,
to be.
So that went pretty successfully.
Definitely.
Under her steerage.
And this, if you were looking for an executive secretary for Suburban Fair Housing?
No.
For
After we,
SOS.
Oh,
after
for SOS.
we did, you see, when we won this case with Suburban against the mainline board, we thought we had at least accomplished something.
Oh, and
And
how?
so the need for our organization was not as great. We had better. So this was you asked if I did anything later.
Yes,
Yes.
right. And so it was for the SOS
Yes.
that you
SOS,
did this. I'm
Senior
sorry, I
Outreach
missed
Service.
that, right.
And I think it's turned into ElderNet.
What do you say?
I think SOS turned into ElderNet. Doesn't ElderNet ring a bell?
Yeah.
If that's what SOS turned into.
Well, I suppose it did really.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, what good memories.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Oh, no.
I just wondered about traveling or visiting relatives out of state.
Wait a minute. Well,
Sorry.
what-
I wondered if you had done any traveling.
Have I done some traveling?
Yes.
Well, minor amounts. Nothing like my family. They're great travelers. Well, I've been to England. My sister, younger sister, who brought up her family in California, felt they didn't know anything about their ancestry or their background. I mean, she thought they ought to know something. So she prevailed upon me to write a book, which we wrote jointly. And I did go to England, I did do some research there. And we finally got the book out and got a very good review from the Pennsylvania Historical Society.
Terrific.
Yeah.
Do you have a copy of that we might look at?
Well, I don't think you need it.
Oh,
But
all right.
anyway,
All right, all right.
that was another interest.
That was an accomplishment. That was a big accomplishment.
It was, yeah, 3 volumes.
Oh, my
Oh, my
word.
word.
Oh, Margaret.
But we got such a good write-up in the
Oh,
Historical Society that we sort of felt justified.
Definitely.
And our family is now, the younger generation knows something, but you see, they live in such different places now.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And having the Quaker records here in Haverford and Swarthmore, I could really trace them.
What a help. Yes, I see.
Well, we thank you very, very much.
No, not at all.
You've given us a great deal to think about.
Well, I think
In fact, it's been absolutely fascinating.
Yes.
I knew some of this, Margaret, because you are quite famous in the meeting for,
well, I shouldn't be. I do.
well, and you are often spoken of as the opener of housing for ethnic minorities, particularly African Americans, on the main line.
Really?
And that's why I asked if the main line had been your focal opening, but it was even broader.
I should add one thing to our policy. If we sold a house in an all-white neighborhood, we didn't go right back and sell another house. That's what's called block busting, which they did in Germantown. The broker would say, well, you've heard, haven't you, that the black family's moving in. You better sell your house now. There's going to be a run on it. You don't want to live in this community. And they would pick up dozens of listings. We said, we're not going to sell another house there. And so I had to know, or try to know, this tremendous area. And I might say that while I didn't get it on the neck, our chairman did. And I'm sorry to say he did from his meeting. He really got it. And the difference, and there were 2 differences. One was he was working for the service committee, and they wanted to transfer him to Iowa. So he had to sell his house. And his house in Swarthmore is only about 6 miles, isn't it, to Chester.
Yes.
Chester is a heavily black area.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And anyone who didn't have any real understanding of the situation would have realized that the prices were totally different.
Yes.
A person in Chester can't move to Swarthmore even if they might want to. And we didn't have applicants.
Right.
And there was just a false alarm. But 2 members of the meeting every single night would call on him after a hard day at the service committee and try to persuade him not to take his listing away from suburban fair housing. And he and his son was going to have a birthday party. They were afraid to have it. Nobody would come. And so he got it personally, but he stood up for his principles. He's just a wonderful, wonderful person.
This is Mike Yarrow.
But he did not have the support of his meeting.
Which was Swarthmore meeting?
Swarthmore meeting.
Well, attitudes change very slowly, don't they? Don't they? And I think, look how long it took for Friends to finally, all Friends, decry slavery.
Yeah, it took 100 years.
100 years, yes, right.
It doesn't happen overnight, but I'm so interested that you were such a pioneer.
Yes.
Well, it didn't seem so remarkable to me, but I mean, it just seemed obvious somebody's got to do something.
Looking back on it, you know it was a pioneering effort. Thank you, Margaret.
Margaret, yes,
thank
this
you.
has been a special pleasure, and let me now unhook you before we.
Well, what are you going to do?
I'm going to unhook you so we don't get tangled up here. No, I don't want you to take it. And I'm going to do this, and then
Oh, that's good. It's working.
And there we are, and now, my friend, this has been so wonderful.
Well, you're very kind, my heavens.
It has been a rich morning for both of us.
Thank
Indeed.
you for letting us see this, too. Thank you for letting